2 years ago now, I made a video comparing AgencyBloc and RadiusBob as two of the most popular insurance agent-specific CRMs on the market, really kind of dissecting their strengths and their weaknesses against each other. Then about 7 months ago, I made a video reacting and giving my prediction of AgencyBloc acquiring RadiusBob and kind of what I felt like that might look like. Fast forward to today, I have been invited by AgencyBloc to be a beta test partner, to essentially be an early user and be able to kind of see the beta test version of the new combined system of AgencyBloc and RadiusBob. And in this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts and my reaction to this new combined system and what it means for AgencyBloc users and Radius users alike.
This video is brought to you by none other than Hire Heroes, you guys. Hire Heroes is your one-stop shop when it comes to virtual staffing and making sure that you have qualified talent with your business. One thing that I love about Hire Heroes, you guys, is they've actually gone through the process already of vetting and making sure that your staff member is well trained to best fit your needs. Whether you need help with social media work, posting things on your accounts, responding to people that send messages to your social media accounts, whether you need help with data entry or a multitude of other things that they're qualified to do, Hire Heroes has got you covered. If you're having trouble finding quality talent and number two, affording to be able to run payroll for that talent, Hire Heroes has got you covered with an affordable alternative to have a virtual assistant working for your business. There's a link down in the description of this video to where you can learn more about getting your own VA through Hire Heroes. I certainly recommend it. They're what we use in our business for all of our virtual assistant needs, and you will want to make sure that you check them out today.
Rewind a little bit, if you will, to some of the points that I discussed in the previous videos talking about AgencyBloc and Radius. AgencyBloc and Radius admittedly are probably the two most specific CRMs on the market today. Now, if you're not familiar with what a CRM is, CRM stands for Client Relationship Management System, okay? It's essentially a system that does a multitude of different things, okay? A CRM is going to house your client data. A CRM is going to house your phone call recordings, your scope of appointments, your applications, your notes of every little detail about that client, notes about conversations with that client, keeping their prescription list, their doctor's list, everything you might need to know. A CRM is going to house that data. And in addition to that, a CRM also helps you automate and follow up with, through multiple forms of communication with not only clients, but also with leads. And there's other things that a CRM can do in addition to that. But those are kind of the main talking points that you have with the CRM, okay? So if we look back at kind of the strengths and weaknesses of Radius opposed to AgencyBloc, I think the general consensus of what I had kind of brought to the table about the two systems was AgencyBloc was very user-friendly. AgencyBloc had a lot of really cool, amazing features. I thought it was probably one of the easiest to learn, one of the easiest to use in terms of it just being user-friendly. It's very common for a lot of CRMs out there to really be a little clunky, a little, difficult to figure out. It can take hours and hours and hours of tutorials to really kind of learn what you're doing with the system, specifically if you're not tech savvy, like a lot of insurance agents are not. And I think AgencyBloc had that going for it. I think they had some pretty good email automations and things like that built in. I never liked that if you sent a mass email that they would charge you a little bit for each email, whereas a lot of other systems might not do that per se. So I never really liked that necessarily, but I liked their overall basis of the system, right? I liked pretty much everything that it did. I thought the commission tracker was a good tool. I know a lot of people that use it. I thought that, the ability for an FMO to keep agents in the system has been huge for my organization. So for my organization, we work with a lot of different partner agents across the country. That system has been invaluable for us in order to keep track of our agents' contracts, their licenses, their writing numbers, which carriers they have, what licenses they have with each carrier, et cetera, et cetera. That has been invaluable. So where I felt like AgencyBloc was a little weaker on was on its overall automation capabilities within the system. Now, about a year ago, it integrated with Zapier, and you would be able to run different kind of automations through Zapier out of it, but you really needed to have a good working knowledge of Zapier. And sometimes AgencyBloc internally could help you with those things, but it involved a couple of different steps and learning another system to connect it to AgencyBloc, which we use for a lot of different things with AgencyBloc. But it was one of those things where it could get a little in the weeds and it could get a little complicated. Internally, it didn't have a whole lot of automation features outside of an automated email. It didn't have automated texting. It didn't have automated ringless voicemail drops and things like that. I felt like Radius Bob might be a little bit more clunky. I thought Radius was a little bit more difficult for someone that's not tech savvy to figure out, but Radius had more features and functionality, such as like doing a scope internally within the system where you could send the scope out and it would be done and it would save automatically in that file of that client or lead, right? That's very, very handy. That's very, very big. If you use Sunfire, Connecture, or Carrier Portal to do your scope of appointments, but you're keeping your data in a third-party system, you'd have to download that, upload it into the system, whereas if you did it through Radius and their electronic scope of appointment, it was just automatically saved in there for you. That was very nice. Had the ability to have a dialer within the system to where you can make calls out, and those calls would automatically be saved, recorded, and stored within the client data portal there. And so that was very, very big on Radius's part. Radius had more automation, has more texting automation, et cetera, et cetera. Radius has screen sharing, the ability to send text messages out just in sending out an actual text instead of it just being an automation if you wanted to do that. So to summarize, I felt like Radius was a little bit more clunky, a little bit harder to figure out. For us, when we did use Radius back in the day, didn't have the ability to keep track of agents and things like that. That's why we switched from Radius to AgencyBloc in the first place in my organization. But it had more automation and maybe just a little bit more features overall. Fast forward to now. What does this beta test system, that's a combination of the two, actually look like? Well, I can't show you the inside of the actual system. It's proprietary. I've been trusted with it as a beta test user, but I'll give you my first thoughts and my first reaction. So the system that I've been able to be privy to is the AgencyBloc system, essentially, where you have the same layout, right? You have everything on the left-hand side on the dashboard where you have individuals, agents, groups, all these different things. But you have different tabs that have been added for leads and different things like that. And that is where you're going to find the Radius Bob software that's been implemented into the system. So when you go into the Radius Bob software, at least when I've been looking at it, if you go into leads, it then turns into the Radius Bob layout, where it has the Radius Bob kind of look and feel to it a little bit. It has the ability to send, the emails, the text messages, do the screen sharing with that specific file, to send the scope of appointment with that specific file, and it has the ability to do the dialer internally. So it's a really, really good mixture. I really like kind of the way that they did it. I think a lot of people were wondering that were users of these two systems on what that was actually going to look like with the two systems being merged. And based on the beta test system that I've been using, that I've been kind of playing around with, it looks like it's going to be the AgencyBloc layout and the AgencyBloc login and the AgencyBloc system, but essentially pulling the technology of Radius and the functionality and the systems of Radius into it and essentially combining the two within the AgencyBloc system. So now what you should be able to expect once this all does roll out to the public is you'll have the ability to do automated texting, to send texts, to do screen sharing with clients. You send an email, they click a link, and they can see your screen to do screen sharing if you're doing remote appointments, which is certainly very handy. It's a system and a service that we used a lot when we had Radius back in the day, okay? You can do your scopes internally in the system. I can't stress enough how helpful and a time saver that this really is. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big advocate for Medicare Center. I'm a big advocate for Sunfire, Connecture, for these third-party tools, but I've always been a big advocate of keeping your data in your own third-party controlled system. I've been a big, big advocate for that because you have all the control in the world with a third-party system, okay? So if you're sending out a scope internally within your CRM that you control with AgencyBloc/Radius combined, Then the client fills it out. It automatically is stored in your client's file. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to download it. You don't have to upload it. It's gonna be there. Same is true for your phone call recordings, okay? So if you use the dialer internally to make outbound calls, it also saves and stores those phone call recordings. If I had to say, I think that it's taking the best of both worlds, combining them into one system, and I think there's very, very few CRMs that are going to stand a chance in terms of competition with this new system together, okay? There are still some things that a Go High Level can do that a system like this cannot do, at least at this moment in time. That might change down the road. But a Go High Level can still do ringless voicemail drops. A Go High Level can still probably build out more detailed and intricate automation trees, right? So a Go High Level is still going to give you a little bit more functionality and still a little bit more features with that. But typically a Go High Level system is going to cost a little bit more as well. So it's definitely give and take a little bit. A Go High Level system will also not really need you to have the use of Zapier, especially if you're running Facebook ads. You can connect your Facebook ads through it. So it's still going to have some give and take, but I think it closes the gap and provides so many additional features to AgencyBloc users and Radius users alike that they didn't have before, but they still get to maintain this the details and the systems and the features that they like so much about the system that they're using now, whether it be Radius or whether it be AgencyBloc. And so I'm very impressed with what they've done. I'm sure it's going to continue to grow and it's going to continue to kind of evolve over the course of time. I don't want to speak for them in terms of when it's going to be available to the public, perhaps maybe even next year, maybe Q1, we'll have to see. But it's something to kind of look forward to if you're a user of either one of these systems, because what's going to happen is you're going to get all the good and all the features of the other system that you're not using, and it's all going to be combined into one, so you can use the good of which system you're using now, and you're going to get the good of the other system and combine it into one. I think there are some things that it does that Go High Level can't do, like keeping track of your agents has been a huge one in its own kind of category, in its own kind of section, right? I think the screen sharing thing is very unique. I think there's some things that it does that Go High Level doesn't do either. So I think that it really puts it at the top of the line and really right up there with a Go High Level in terms of being probably the two best CRMs that you can utilize today as an insurance agent. So anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this analysis, please do me a favor and let me know about it. Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps so many more agents like you who need to hear this information find it a little bit easier. Comment your thoughts down below. Are you looking forward to this if you're an AgencyBloc or Radius user? Are you not looking forward to it? Tell me why. I'd love to have some dialogue with you about it. What are your thoughts about the future to come? Do you think this is a good move or not? Let's have a conversation. Make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. We put out weekly videos to help you grow your business. We don't charge anything for it except for a little bit of your time. And without further ado, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Here's to your success and your abundance, and happy AEP, everybody. Thanks, guys.